Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Being a marketer's no sweat. You just have to manage dozens of channels, launch hundreds of campaigns, score thousands of leads, and okay, fine, it's a lot of sweat. Unless you have HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools to help you do all that and more. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Don't Blame Me. Today, as we go through, is gamut a word?
Yeah.
Like the gamut of the gals from Big Mood Podcast.
Yeah.
We have Tiffany here, and you're also a host for JK News, and you have a family channel, which you guys missed the great joke right before we started recording that I want a family channel, and Melissa said...
You got to get a family first.
Hey, zinger, painful, right in the ovary.
Well, are you married?
Nope.
Oh, I thought you would be, girl. You're such a catch.
Oh my God, thank you. I have a boyfriend, but we're not.
You guys have been together 4 years, so
I know.
That's a family. That's a family.
I literally yesterday I was like, "Are you gonna like propose at some point?" He was like, "Oh yeah, for sure." And I was like, "Oh, thanks so much."
Is he the one?
Oh yeah, we talk about it all the time.
Aww.
I constantly I'll quiz him in quiet moments at our apartment, and I'll be like, "What kind of engagement ring do I want?" And he's like, and then list it off. I'm like, "Good call." But he is now under this new thing. His friend proposed to his girlfriend, but he really wanted to be a massive surprise, which also kind of almost backfired because he really told her "Yeah, I don't really not into marriage and all that stuff." And then she was sad, but then she was like, "You know what? It's fine. I really don't care." And then she was talking to me about it. I'm like, "Shit, dude, he's gonna propose in a week."
That reminds me of Monica and Chandler.
That's literally what it was. He went too far with the backtracking of it, but he proposed with a placeholder ring to really surprise her. And now that's what Moss wants to do. And I was like, I can't get a good picture of I said yes with a placeholder.
Right, exactly.
And he was
you need the engagement ring.
Yeah. I was like, I'll just try them on. And he's like, well, that ruins the surprise. I'm like, well, I don't want to be surprised that we're getting married. I don't want to be shocked. Holy shit,
have you heard of those
what?
weddings where the bride doesn't even know, the girl doesn't even know she's about to get engaged, and then this guy sets up an entire wedding with her family there, and then so the moment she's engaged for 2 seconds.
That's so mean.
I know.
Let me
what
have
if you say no?
Yeah, let me have the attention, you dick. Did anyone watch The Fashion Ambitionist? I think she was an Instagram girl who used to work at Goop. And I say Instagram girl lightly because she wasn't an influencer. She just was a girl with an Instagram who worked for Goop, who really wanted to be a fashion blogger and had old family money. Went to the Hamptons, Love Shack fancy dresses.
I already know exactly what she looks like.
All that shit, 100%. She's white, can you tell? And she got had a whole proposal. I say proposal in quotations. Because it got released later on that there was a deck for the proposal, and they pitched it to all these different brands.
News.
Yeah, and I reported that. And apparently, she got fired from Goop. But I don't know if she did.
That part.
I don't know if it's been confirmed yet. But the whole thing, and then he did the same thing where the whole engagement process, it ended up with them in Paris, and then they got married. At the same time.
Okay, that's a different story then. Because I don't remember her working at Goop or the married thing.
I think it is the same girl, though. It just was a week and a half long process.
Wow.
It took so long, and I watched every single fucking story.
You did?
Yes.
That was a lot of stories.
God. And it was she called it, his name was Gabe, and there was something with Gabe in the hashtag, and he sent her to essentially a soul cycle class or a flywheel class, and I was like, bitch, if that's part of my engagement scavenger hunt, I'm fucking out.
You need to make me, I'm working out.
I don't want to go spin for this. You're a dick.
True.
This is an advice podcast. If you guys are new here, if you want to be on an upcoming episode, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. So shall we give some advice?
Let's do it.
Advice. I need advice.
Story of my life. Like, just dish it all out. I can't take it.
Hello, Megan. I'm 25 years old and I think I need help. I have this friend. She's a friend of mine for years. She's actually a close friend. She is in arranged marriage. She's still engaged, but it's very common here. And she was fine with it, although I don't agree. But I supported her because she's my friend. The whole thing started as she liked the guy and he's fun to be around with and whatever. Then fast forward to last month, she told me that she views him as a friend. And it was like a red flag for me, but I didn't say anything about it. She was fine with getting married to him, so I didn't want to interfere. After that, the last 5 days, she told me that they're getting married. So she told me in a period of 10 days. And I was really shocked because no one decided they're getting married in next week or whatever. So I was surprised. Then I asked her what's going on. She told me that her fiance decided the time of the wedding and she didn't have any part of it, which is really weird. And it bothered me, but sometimes I'm that friend that I want to support my friends and love them no matter what. I don't want to judge her with her choices. She's an adult. She's 26, so she's, I think, in her right mind to decide these decisions. Until she told me that I'm not allowed to come to her wedding, which is really upset me because I viewed her as like a best friend and a close friend for years, and we've been through a lot. So I think I need help with that because I don't know if he's abusive or he's controlling, or I know he doesn't like me, but maybe that's that. Please give me help.
Holy shit.
Poor girl.
Yeah. Wow. That's so much.
Yeah, that's a
Being
lot.
like, yeah, we're just friends, but we're getting married in 10 days. By the way, you can't come.
Yeah, and then it's an arranged marriage,
Yeah.
which apparently is common where she's from. Damn, that's intense. Because I could hear it in her voice how hurt she is as a friend. Because she's like, she cares so much about her friend and she's trying to be there for her, but she's also giving her space. It's a tough place to be.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't have a ton of, I have no personal experience with arranged marriages, but from my understanding, the arrangement comes from usually your parents are arranging it for you. And so I think like at the end of the day, as much as it sucks, I don't think as much as like her husband has a say, but it to me, it seems like there are other puppeteers in the mix of like the parents.
For sure.
And it doesn't sound like you, caller, it doesn't sound like you are having an arranged marriage. And so maybe you have more, I don't want to say
bias against it.
Yeah. Or like you grew up with like parents who like were pretty anti it. And I don't want to like say one's more progressive or one's more modern than the other. And so if you grew up with like a more modern upbringing, then it might be something that like, I don't know. Like I've always thought about it when I didn't grow up religious. I desperately wanted to be Jewish so badly.
Really?
And my parents were like, that's not how Judaism works. I was like, I really want it. All of my friends were Jewish.
Convert.
I could, but like as a child, there was no way. My parents were like, you can be a Buddhist if you want to. And I was like, fine, whatever.
Wait, but why Judaism?
Because all of my friends were Jewish.
Oh, okay.
And that was like primarily everyone I grew up with was Jewish. And I was jealous because they all had Hebrew school. They all got bat mitzvahs. And then they like would always be busy on Friday nights. parents. And I was like, I'm like, fuck, what am I? And they all went to Jewish summer camp. And I was like, I need something to do.
You had FOMO.
Yeah. But then I like at one point was like, I'm just going to like be Christian or whatever. And then it like didn't work because like I was, you know, a kid who like wasn't educated and all of that kind of stuff. And it just wasn't like my thing. But it's like kind of like the same thing of like not believing. And I don't say this to like knock anyone's like religion or whatever, but it's, and if any kids are listening, if you're listening around your kids, I hope you're not. But it's like when you know that Santa's not real and somebody else is like, no, Santa's totally real. And you feel like you're kind of like, what is this sort of thing? But they're so in it. And I think it might be like that with that arranged marriage. Like you can see it from a totally different like perspective than she can. And also just the option. Like I don't think she really has a choice and an option. And I don't want to speak on arranged marriages because I don't know. But I would also assume, and this could be ignorant of me to assume, that an arranged marriage also might not necessarily be, the marriage itself might not necessarily be progressive and balanced in like the female and male's voice of the household.
Oh, right.
Like like I would assume that it is the man of the household, he makes the rules, and it is more of like a submissive part on the woman.
Which makes sense as to why he would pick the date and say, no, that one friend that I don't like can't come.
Yeah.
It sucks.
And so I think...
And he probably knows that the friend doesn't approve of their arrangement as well.
Yeah.
She probably hasn't, or like her friend probably expressed that since she did view him as a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think the good thing through all of this is your friend still keeps coming to you, and she's opening up to you and telling you all of this kind of stuff. So I think if anything were to go south later on, being able to keep that open line of communication with her is really good. And I think you can obviously express like your sadness for not being able to go to the wedding, but it's like, you know what? This is your thing. Like
it's her life.
Do whatever you're going to do. Like I still like love you and support you, and I'll be here for you no matter what. But yeah, I think like it's kind of one of those sucky things that you just have to sort of like let your friends go through with all of it. And then, I
and also I feel for the friend too, the one that's getting married, because I can only imagine the situation she's in if she doesn't, like if it's not in her power as to why she's getting into an arranged marriage, she's going through her own set of things. Because at one point, I was engaged before my husband, and when I was planning my wedding with my ex, he actually didn't want two of my closest friends to come to the wedding. And I was like, no, they're gonna come. Like, what the fuck? I've known them since second grade. They're coming to the wedding. And so me and him had like a whole thing, and it ended up, we ended up coming to this compromise as to me not asking them to be bridesmaids.
Yeah.
And I was so heartbroken, and they were extremely heartbroken too. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm battling this.
Yeah.
Luckily, it didn't work out with that guy, but I'm like, your friend is going through her own set of problems that she's dealing with, and like having this guy just 1 week later say, hey, we're getting married now. Like she's going through her own stuff. So, I mean, it sucks.
Yeah.
I feel for both of them.
Yeah. I think you just gotta like need to continue to be like an ear to like listen and have her like vent to and stuff. And bright side, she does see him as a friend. She doesn't hate him.
Right.
True.
Like that could be worse. And I think also like, it's kind of, at least again, my ignorant ass for arranged marriages. To me, that seems like a positive thing that you would hope for, like going into it. Like you might not love each other immediately, but you can grow to fall in love with each other, and that's what they talk about a lot with arranged marriages. And so like going in being friends, but I think the part that is a little like off is it feels like
imbalanced.
Yeah, and the whole, if he is your friend, he should be okay with your other friend coming and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I would just say like the best you can, keep your opinions to yourself and like continue to like vent to a therapist, vent to your friends and all of that kind of stuff. But like keep it as like the line of communication just like open. So also when they get married, it's not like he's going to be like, oh, you can't talk to her anymore because she hates me.
Yeah, because then that's just going to go down south and you're really going to lose your friend.
Yeah. Be there for her. And don't post anything salty like the day of the wedding, being like, cheers. That'd be me. I'd be like, cheers, bitches. Have so much fun. Happily ever after. But best of luck. That's stressful.
True.
Hi, Megan, Melissa, and guest. So my advice, the thing I need advice on, Melissa touched on the subject briefly in one of the past podcasts. So I thought maybe you could help. So my partner, who I've been with for enough amount of time. He, in his past relationship, he was with her for 7 years, which was most of their teens and then the early 20s. And I'm finding it hard not to be jealous when they hang out. And when they hang out, they do things like go to the movies and go out to restaurants, and it feels very date-like to me. And I've said that this makes me uncomfortable, and I've said, like, I'm not blaming him, but, like, it does make me really uncomfortable. And I've said that I think it would help if she came to our house, we live together, so I can get to know her, because I fully trust him, but I don't know this woman that he's hanging out with. So I suggested that she came over and hung out, all three of us. But she has severe anxiety, so he felt like asking, she might feel like she's walking into an attack, which I completely understand as I have anxiety myself. But I just don't know what to do because it makes me feel very uncomfortable. And of course, I would never stop him from seeing her, but I don't want to get upset every time they see each other or go out. And I just find it really hard. I don't know if this is important, but she also has a partner. She doesn't live in the same city, so she comes in once a week for like appointments and that things, and she sees him. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much. I hope you can help. Bye.
Oh my God, she's way too chill.
Yeah.
You're way too chill for your own fucking good. You need a little crazy in you.
Just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Just to protect yourself a little bit. Maybe this will be the experience that will give that in her a little bit. Because, girl, it really sounds like he's still got a thing with his ex.
Yeah. And they were together 7 years, and you said that you guys have been together
enough time. Bitch, I needed to know how long. And part of me thinks that the reason why she didn't say is because it's not
Yeah, it's
that
pretty
long.
short. But she probably really likes him, and she's saying that
and they
she
live
really,
together.
Yeah, I mean that's a commitment there. But she's saying that she trusts him enough, and the fact that you don't know her at all, and then they go out and have their dates, that's inappropriate. That's just straight up inappropriate. That's disrespectful too, because you have your place in his life as his girlfriend. You're living together. How is he going to just disrespect that and say, hey, I'm going to go hang out with my ex-girlfriend of 7 years, ditch you, and no, making up, I mean, I don't know, she could have anxiety, but it just seems like an excuse to not have you guys get close. Maybe she's, because you mentioned that she does have a partner, maybe she's cheating on that partner and they don't want anything to get messy. It's like, oh, you know what, right now my girlfriend's really cool. Let's keep this going. Yeah. She's not asking too many questions. She's fine.
I think that all of that's spot on. I think like it is such a super sticky situation that I think, and you can speak to this because you are friends with your exes, that like if you want to hang out with your ex and it's purely friendship, the shit that has to go, the work that has to go on behind the scenes with your your current relationship needs to be like, hey, I'm so happy with you. Like things are great. Like and even early on in dating, it should be like, I just want you to like heads up. I have a close friend of mine. We did date for a long period of time where it's totally platonic now. Like we are really good friends. It has like, I understand if it could feel like uncomfortable. I really don't want to lose her as a friend. I really love to like introduce you guys and like see if you guys can like get along and vibe, and if not, then at that point he has to pick. Like,
exactly. You
and
can't have your cake and eat it too.
No, and he's not introducing you. And the same thing, like,
that's weird.
Why is her boyfriend not there?
Exactly.
And like, why, if there's an opportunity to double date there, but they're just solo hanging out, like it's just super fucking weird. And it shouldn't even be like, it shouldn't be dinner or movies and all that stuff, like, because that is romantic. Like Mott's has female friends and they're like, yeah, we're gonna go for a drink and I'll be home for dinner right after. It's like that kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, fine, sure, go ahead.
But are
like,
they his exes?
No.
Exactly.
And have you met them and know them?
Yes.
See?
Do I like the moth? No. But at the same time, it's like there is like a level of like courtesy to that. Like if he was like, yeah, hey, I'm going to go to like a dinner and a movie with this like female friend of mine. If I didn't know her, like there is a handful of female friends of his that like if he went out with that, I'd be like, there's one specifically that I'd be like, yeah, for sure. Go ahead. Like love her. She's great. She's awesome. She's got a boyfriend. But that's also because I know her. I know her boyfriend. Like I'm also in that world, in that circle. And it's always massive red flags when there is a whole other world that you're not a part of.
Yeah.
And when he's keeping that relation, and they're both keeping that relationship so separate and just between the two of them, that's red flag central.
Yeah, exactly. Because there needs to be a sense of connection with all the parties involved. Like some sort of like familiarity where you can have that trust and that communication to be like, oh, you know what? Everything's cool. I know her. She's cool.
And also him saying, this is a light bulb to me. Him saying, oh, I don't want to ask her. She's anxiety. She's going to think it's an ambush. Why would it be an ambush unless there's something to be ambushed over?
Exactly.
The exes that you said that I touched on this before, the exes that I'm friends with, if they are in relationships with people, I am just as close with their girlfriends, if not closer, than with the girlfriends. And I never hang out with them without the girlfriend there. Yeah. Ever. I hang out with the girlfriends solo, but never without it. But if I'm hanging out with him, respect. I don't hang out.
Yeah. And also, you waited for them to come to you of being like, would love to be your friend at some point. You very much like let them take the reins of that.
Get settled into their relationship first and then introduce me.
And you checked in to be like, they know that we've I'm not going to walk into that situation in that
and not
sort
just
of thing.
that, but like let's say if the caller would end up somehow on her own reaching out to the friend, the ex-girlfriend, and saying like, hey, I just really want to get to know you. You've been spending a lot of time with my boyfriend and I would just love to get to know you. That reaction, like however she reacts, will tell you immediately the type of relationship
she blocks you.
Yeah, because
they're fucking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because there was this one situation with my husband back when we were dating. He had this friend of his that they would like connect here and there throughout the years because they went to high school together. And one year, because he's from Dallas. So one year I was in Dallas with him. And then he was like, oh, my friend wants to meet up to have dinner. Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, cool. So am I coming? And he was like, yeah, let me tell her. And so he told her. And then she canceled immediately. And she never spoke to him like ever again. And I'm like, she clearly had a thing for you. And because he was like, nah, no way. She's like my little sister. And he never saw her that way. He friend zoned her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, if we want to play like, your boyfriend's a great dude, all that stuff, it could be that. He could have no idea that she has feelings for him. But the issue is like, as opposed to that, where it's like, oh yeah, totally, I'll ask her. And then it's being like rug gets pulled out from underneath both of you. And it's like, oh shit, she likes me like this. I have no idea. Yeah. He is protecting her a little bit too much.
Right. He must know.
But he has to have, even if he like won't admit it to himself, and even if like they're not doing anything, and they're not doing anything physical, they are going out to dinner and they are like essentially like emotionally doing this kind of stuff. There's a part of him that like knows that it's wrong and that kind of thing. And I think the other like misconception is if someone's like being unfaithful or someone's lying to you or something, they're going to omit all of the truth. Right. The best lies involve a part of the truth and then not the rest. Yep. So the fact that he's gaining, again, I don't want to like vilify him, but like to be fair, like I think this is like a villainous thing that he's doing. But to tell like, hey, like you're like, oh, of course he's not cheating on me. He's telling me he's going out to dinner with his ex-girlfriend. Like that's like such a huge, like, why would he tell me if there was something else going on? Like to me, it's like, it's right under your nose.
That's true. He's like, see, I was being honest with you. Exactly. What? I'm not hiding anything. What are you talking about?
And so like you don't feel the need to like go through his phone and like check all of that kind of stuff.
That's why she sounds so chill. Because she's like he's done enough to make her feel secure.
Well, now she just feels crazy. That's the thing. I'm like, you're being like, I don't even want to say you're being gaslit. Like you're being like the burner's on underneath you, or you just hear the clicking in the other room, and you're like, is the gas turning on? Like, what is happening here? Am I going to die from carbon monoxide poisoning? So I mean, like my evil advice would be go through his phone, check his Venmo, check his like Ubers, check that shit. And see that kind of stuff and like see like are they splitting the dinners? Like is she paying him back for that kind of stuff? Like if you guys share like mail, I mean, that don't go through his mail. That's actually technically illegal. Not technically, that is fucking illegal. So let us know what happens.
Yeah. I want to
go
know
through
too.
his phone. Go through his phone. Also, maybe go into his phone if you know his password and turn location sharing on so you know where he's at.
Yeah, you can go spy
And then-
And then figure out what they're doing. Because like we don't even actually know that they're going to movies and going.
Ooh, that's true. Meeting at a motel.
Yeah. Ugh. On to the next one.
Hi, Megan, Melissa, and guest. I have a little issue so my best friend is this guy, and I think I might have feelings for him, but I'm super inexperienced, like sexually and stuff, and he is not. And he also has told me that basically, without this wording, that I am on his no fuck list because I don't know. I've helped him with a lot of like girl issues when he's like had problems. He was in a really bad relationship that's still kind of continuing. So I've been trying to help him, but it's really hard to I don't know, be supportive when I have feelings for him, and I've tried to ignore them, and that's what I'm doing best. But I love spending time with him, so I still hang out with him a lot, and I'm not super close with my other friends that are like, we're all kind of in the same friend group, but me and him don't really enjoy our other friends because most of them are pretty annoying. And I live in a relatively small town, so it's kind of hard to reach out to other people. I'm in high school, by the way, so it's kind of hard to find new people. So I find myself just hanging out with him all the time. And like people make jokes about like, oh, you guys are like gonna get married, which I used to be like, oh, whatever, that's stupid. Like it doesn't matter. And then I got super uncomfortable by people saying that, and now I'm like, I'm back to not really caring about when they say shit like that, but it's just kind of, it's a lot. Like people say it too much to the point where it makes me uncomfortable. I don't know. It makes me feel weird. So yeah, any advice you could give me would be great. What do I do? Okay, bye. I love the podcast.
I just want to know what he said.
Yeah.
That wasn't like, she's like, he didn't say no fuck list, but no fuck. Like, how else do you say that?
Like, you're my best
Yeah,
friend,
like, or
and
my
I don't
sister.
ever want to, my
Something like
sister,
that.
I don't ever want to change that type of relationship.
Wait, did she say that she has told him
No.
how she feels? Because I don't know, man.
You fucking have to.
Yeah, at this point, you have to.
Yeah, because the issue, so this was me in high school. I didn't realize that I was in love with him at all. He was like my best friend. Every fucking teacher, all of our friends, everywhere we went, everyone's like, oh my God, you guys are so cute. And we were like, oh no, we're just friends. Like, we're not dating. And we were like, we dated in 7th grade for like 2 weeks. And we were like, but we were like literally like best friends. And my friend got drunk and called him and said, Megan's in love with you. And I was like, what? And she called me and then told me that night. And I like woke up the next morning and I was like, what the fuck, bitch? And she was like, I'm sorry, but like, I'm really sorry that I did that. But like, it is true. And I was like, no, it's not. And I was with my other friend. My other friend was like, ooh. And I was like, what? And like my world came crashing down. We ended up dating for like a year and some time or whatever. And it was like great first love, first boyfriend, first boning, first all that shit, not first kiss or... I mean, first some shit, not all of it, I guess. But I know the feeling. Like he was asking, I was helping him ask this other girl to prom, and you were, I think, much more advanced than you know, but I couldn't figure out like why I was like so upset that I was like helping him ask this other girl to prom, and like I just felt like shit.
How
Like,
did he feel about you?
So, but that's the thing. We would refer to each other as best friends. And I think there was we definitely, when people would like say that like, oh my God, you guys are on a date, we would both equally be like, oh my God, ew, no. So part of me wonders if like him, and I hate the term friend zoning, but like, yeah, him putting you on his like no fuck list or whatever, how much of that was both of you kind of implying the same thing? Because like we used to do that like to protect both of us, and like it turns out we both were super into each other for like a long time. And so if it was like fully on his own accord, that he just brings up, like you said, like out of the blue, of being like, you're, oh my God, I'm so happy that you're like my sister. Like I would never want to jeopardize that. And if he like did that again, all on his own accord, then I would kind of be like, if you need to say it for yourself, say it for yourself. But like, I think there's a 90% chance that like he just sees you as a friend. But if it was more of that, like, oh my gosh, no, like we both are kind of saying the same things about each other, then I think like say it and it might turn out well. But at the end of the day, I think you just kind of have to you have to kind of say it or not be as close with him.
Another thing that stood out to me about what she was saying was that she's not very sexually experienced, but that he is. Yeah. That to me kind of, I don't know, like if he is into her and he's kind of hiding it, that could be his way of like further being like he's denying his own feelings and like making up these other sexual experiences to tell her to be like further. It's like he's protecting his ego. So he's like, I'm not gonna be vulnerable and I'm not gonna open up my heart if he does like you and he's into you. And so he's like putting all these things into your ear. And little do you know, but you both actually like each other. Yeah. But it will end up further hurting your friendship if you continue it the way you are, where you're hiding your feelings. You have to let him know if you haven't already. Once he tells you how he feels, you're just gonna have to accept. Let's say he says that he's not into you. You're just gonna have to accept that and move on. And I would suggest to just, no matter how much it hurts, because you love hanging out with him, you're just gonna have to detach. Yeah. Because you cannot put yourself in that situation. Because I've been on the other end, where in high school I had this guy best friend and we were neighbors. So we would always hang out. We would walk to school together, all that stuff. And at one point he ends up telling me that he really liked me. And I felt so like confused and like bad because I did not feel the same way for him. I really loved our friendship, but I was not into him at all. And so I ended up telling him, I'm like, well, I can't lie to you and pretend that I do because I don't. And he ended up like hating my guts for many years after that. And he would like avoid me. And I was so heartbroken because I lost my friend. But I had to accept that too, where I'm like, I can't expect him to continue to be in my life when I can't reciprocate the same feelings. It's torture.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the thing is like you need to figure out like, if someone was asking him or if he was telling someone else the same situation, would he ever turn around and say, I'm on her no fuck list? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it like, has this been something that has been so much him, or are you a little bit guilty of, like you said, like kind of pushing away too and just like saying this kind of stuff to create this distance because you're not sure if you guys like each other back? But if like, but if you could never see him saying that and it's like, oh no, or if you think he could potentially have any sort of inclining to your feelings, then I think that was probably like a nicer way of him trying to.
High school is so hard too, because in high school everyone is putting up a front, like it's like full on ego, like to the max. So there's no way that either of you will ever get to the place of vulnerability to even open up to each other, even though you guys are like so close and you're always hanging out. You're saying you don't really like your other group of friends. I don't know. To me, it just seems like he might be into you too. It's just that you guys have your ego so crazy big that you cannot open up.
And also, if he talks to you about like sex, intimate detail stuff with girls, I hate to break it to you, I think that's kind of like he's probably not, because at the end of the day, I think talking a big game of like, oh yeah, this girl and this girl, but not like, yeah, fucking fuck that wet pussy with my dick. Like that's how I talk with my guy. Do you know what I mean? Like that's how like my guy friends, where we're like friends. Like that's how we talk like nasty shit like that. But that's not something like when Mats and I were friends for a year before we started dating, and I knew he was dating girls, but he was never like, oh yeah, piped hard last night. Like that specific sort of stuff is very, I think that's kind of friend zoney. It's like the same thing. Like if you I don't know, like I'll talk to my guy friends and they're like, how you doing? I'm like, oh, brutal yeast infection. But like if you wouldn't say that, do you know what I mean? Like I could say that to him if you like have feelings or whatever. You're like, oh, not much. How about you? But like, yeah, there is those like little nuanced things that I think can imply where you guys both are at. But I think also I think you're going to need to take distance from him if you also decide that you don't want to tell him and you think he doesn't have feelings for you. But at the end of the day, I think it's better just to tell him. And if your friendship is strong already, I think you guys will get through it eventually. And also just know that this is a not say morbid thing to say, but like once your feelings have already gotten romantic for someone, your friendship is it is different. Like it has changed. It has gone.
Yeah, there's no way it's the same as before.
At all. And I think like if you're trying to preserve, like, well, I don't want to tell him because I don't want to ruin our friendship. Like, well, right now he's not your friend. You like him. Exactly. And so you're going to have to distance yourself from him. And then if you don't tell him why, he's going to be like, what's going on? And it just creates a whole more entangled web.
That is so true.
But this could also just be like a really cute romantic story. You guys could go to prom together.
Yeah. So if he reciprocates the same feelings.
Yeah. True. It'd be fun. Just make out with him and see consensually make out.
No, because like that made me think about that guy.
Did he try and kiss you?
No. So okay, don't do this if you're in the same position as me. But listen,
you tried, right?
16-year-old Tiff didn't know what she was doing, but once he told me he liked me, and I was like, I don't, because I was at his house. And we were hanging out and stuff. And that's when he told me. And then he was sitting in his living room and his couch wasn't up against the wall. It was like, you know, like in the middle of the room. And after he said that, like we went our separate ways in the house. And then some time passed. And then I felt so bad that I'm like, maybe if I kissed him. Like,
oh, no, this is me. You're in a safe space.
You're in a fully safe space. Would I end up feeling something? Like, what if, So then I go up to him and like I reach
Spider-Man.
over. I did like a Spider-Man kind of thing. And so we kissed and
you're like, no, I'm still
not. I'm like, I'm sorry. I really don't. I felt so, that's why he stopped talking to me. I didn't want to say that part because I feel so guilty. Like I feel bad about that. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about this. But yeah, I totally felt so bad. And like I said, I felt really heartbroken because I lost my friend.
Yeah. And friendship to relationship is super confusing because you're like, I do really love you and I really care about you. And it's like, have I just not thought of you in that light before? Like maybe like it is so parallel and close that
you're just trying to figure it out.
No, I tell Melissa, I'm like, I have to sleep with people before I decide if I like them or not. Like that's how I'm like, okay, definitely don't like you.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Or I'm like, okay, I like you.
But yeah, so I totally understood why he hated my guts. Because I could put myself in his shoes.
Oh, yeah.
And he's probably like, this bitch, she tells me she doesn't like me. And then she kisses me, makes me all happy. And then she tells me she still doesn't like me. What the fuck?
Yeah, but he like went out to college and did the exact same shit. And it was like, oh, okay.
True.
Yeah.
You know what, though? Interestingly enough.
Did he get married to like the next person he dated?
Oh, no. No, so, well, actually, I don't know what happened. But years later, after high school and stuff, I was in between relationships and then we actually reconnected and he ended up going to the Marines. He came back hella hot. Ooh. And I was like, oh shit. So
you're like, that little last piece is good.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay. And so yeah, we ended up hooking up.
Oh, so he
played the long game.
And also he's not mad at all. Like this, like that was the most satisfying thing to like 16-year-old him. He's like, I did it. Finally.
Yeah. And then we just stopped talking.
Yeah.
That was
well, you scratched the itch.
Uh-huh. Oh my God. That was really probably the best day of his fucking life. Yeah. Like the fucking best. That's a great wow.
Yeah.
You were keeping a lot from us with that story.
I really was. I was like, is this gonna come out? Oh shit, it's coming out.
But that's how you always want it though, with that like one that got away. So from his perspective, that like one that got away, that like you then hook up and then it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like that's so satisfying.
Yeah.
I'd love to hook up with like my old, I mean, not now. Mott's isn't listening, but like with my old crushes that like, that like nothing ever came through with it when you're like in middle school. Like my middle school self would die to be like,
true.
Okay, guys, we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back. Okay, should we get back into it?
Let's do it.
Woo-woo.
I'm 24. I'm a graduate student, and I have a bit of a situation with one of my classmates / coworkers. So we met a year ago when we started our program, and he asked me out pretty soon after we met. And we ended up not going out because he like never followed through with that. But basically, I've known that he's been interested in me. He's tried to ask me out since, but I've always just kind of said like, no, since he didn't follow up that first time. So I've just known that he's been interested in me for a while. We have mutual friends. We go out together on the weekends on top of taking classes together and working together. And last night we were out at a bar. He drove me home because I didn't want to pay for an Uber. And I invited him to come upstairs to my apartment. And we ended up making out, but not hooking up. And we basically then had a chat about what are we even doing. I said, I'm not interested in a relationship. And I've expressed that to him before. So I'm just wondering what I should do. It's going to be awkward at work, probably. And I just feel like I'm kind of being shitty because I had him come over and feel like I'm leading him on, but I expressed that I'm like really not interested in anything. But I'm also wondering if he's at fault because he keeps coming around and sort of hanging around me, texts me, like he's trying to pursue me even though I said that I'm not interested. So I just don't know if I'm being shitty, if I should, I don't know, like not even try to be friends with him, or what the best situation is. Yeah, I'm basically just worrying if I'm leading him on or if he's just not asking for it. I don't like that phrase, but you know.
I think she needs to take responsibility for her part in this.
100%. Yeah. But I think they both do.
Yeah,
because
I
think at the end of the day, like, is he in love with you? Like, if he's not in love with you, like, what did he say when you didn't want to do anything? Like, would you want to be fuck buddies with him? Would he be cool with that? Because if he says, yeah, I'm cool with being fuck buddies, that's on him. If he's actually
if he has
not.
feelings.
Yeah, it's like, it's always like, take what everyone says at face value. Like, if they say that they're fine with something, like, yeah, you don't owe that to them. But at the same time, I think, like, if he's fucking so head over heels, like in love with you, and you're like making out with him and being like, well, JK.
Like, you drive me home, you can come upstairs, we're going to make out.
I know.
But, you know,
this is like the grown-up version of what I did in high school.
But it's the same dude.
He's like, why does that always
happen? Why?
Oh, man.
He's back in grad school now. Yeah, I just think that, like you said, I think you need to assume some of this responsibility. Sure. But like, if you guys are friends, of course he's going to keep texting you and all that stuff. But like, you don't have to make out with him, and you don't have to like you said, you don't have to like invite him in and flirt with him and kind of like go the extra mile. I think like you can treat him how you would treat a friend that you know has romantic feelings for you, and kind of have a little bit of that buffer there so he can get over you.
Exactly.
But yeah.
You know what I think it is too? Because I'm trying to tap into 16-year-old me, and it definitely, like, the reason why she invited him up and let him do all that stuff, I think it might be because she does kind of find it like kind of like a confidence booster of like, oh, this guy's into me. Like, even though I don't really reciprocate it, but I got someone after me.
Yeah.
Like, so she's probably in denial of the fact that it's feeding into her own ego. And she kind of just needs to accept that.
Yeah.
And just face it, because it's not fair to kind of lead him on, because you really are leading him on, even though you're not trying to.
Yeah.
Doing these actions, they read as you're leading him on. So if you're really, really not into him, you just gotta, like what you were saying, just create that buffer and kind of create that distance, because it's not fair.
At the end of the day, though, I don't even think that it's that you're not into him. I think this is like a game of chicken, or it's whatever, any sort of
cat
game.
and mouse.
That he was very, like, he asked you out and then didn't follow up, and you're like, oh, fuck you. So, like, you're, like, leaving him on red for, like, 5 years. Like,
oh, that's what it is.
That's what it's like, you're being like, I see you not taking that on that one date.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, like, keep you in this limbo, because exactly what it is. It's like, you like the attention, but I also think, like, you weren't opposed to him. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, I'm not attracted to him or into him at all. It was like a mischance thing, and it sounds like you guys have never talked about it.
Right.
So I think like he is still pursuing it, and like maybe it's that you want him to you said that like he asked you out once and then you've always known since then he's had a little bit of a thing for you. Like, is it that you want like a grand gesture? Like, do you want that sort of a thing? And like,
especially to make up for the fact that he like stood her up kind of.
And her saying that like, I don't really want like a relationship or anything. Is it because you think that like he's a fuckboy and he can't give that to you because like he didn't follow through that first time? So like you're a little like trepidatious of him. But I think if you don't want a relationship and you don't want to date anyone and all you want is a casual hookup, don't hook up with someone who has feelings for you. I think that's just like point blank. But if you like him, also what's your hold up on not wanting to get into a relationship or not wanting to date anyone? And if it's like, oh, I just got out of a really bad relationship that really sucked for a long time, that's totally fine. But then keep it separate. Keep your like sexual relations and all of that stuff separate from your friend group and don't make anything that's messy. But if it's just you're afraid of getting hurt because he hurt you that one time, I would give him a chance and an opportunity because I think you're both into each other, but you're both being like, But I think you're waiting for him to go above and beyond. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like make up for it, like you said.
Exactly.
That's kind of what that seems like.
That's true.
Because you like, I don't know, like if you hated him, you wouldn't invite him in to like make out and stuff. You know, like that's just
or
like,
you would have taken the Uber.
Right.
You just would have.
I know this because this was so. I've been this girl where it's like, oh my god, I don't want to take an Uber, and it's like, do you want to come inside?
Exactly.
Do you want to make out?
Yeah.
And I don't even think that's like a bad thing. I don't necessarily think you're leading him on because I don't think you're leading him on. I think you like him too. I think you just like aren't really I don't think you want to at this point. You don't want to let yourself feel like that, and so you're kind of being this
it's
like
that pride. It's that pride that's
because if he hurt you, he like hurt you, like that's a big ego blow. And I'm sure
like
it's
she's
embarrassing.
really prideful to the point where she's like, well, nah, I'm not gonna give him what he wanted before because he fucked up. Like, girl, I've had insane pride issues. Yeah, it doesn't get you anywhere.
No, and also you are giving him it though. Like, do you know what I mean?
Exactly,
like,
that's true.
Like you're doing it. Like,
That's
just
true.
like sit. Like, I think it's in your head a little bit more than it is of being like, oh no, I can't. And then also like, have you ever had a conversation with him about it? Of being like, that time that all that stuff happened, that really sucked and it hurt. And I think I've had feelings for you that whole time, and have a conversation with him about it because maybe he had a really good excuse.
True.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe someone told him that you had a boyfriend, or maybe something else happened. Like, this is just such a rom-com moment where it's like, let's go on a date. She's like, yeah, I'm down. And then he never follows up. And there's like some like bitch who's like, or some like douchey guy who like likes you in class 2 being like, oh, she's got a boyfriend. Like he's overseas in the military or something. And then he's like, oh, okay. And then he's like, I'll just be her friend for years. And then you're there being like, what's happening? I don't have a boyfriend. Like, what's going on? Just have a fucking conversation.
True.
I think you guys
Just
are
clear it up.
very into each other. And you didn't fuck.
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
No, because she's dangling the carrot in front of his face.
I don't have that kind of, I love attention, but I don't have that kind of self-control.
I am 21, and about a month or two ago, I decided to go visit my friends at college, and we decided to go out like every night of the weekend and whatever. So we went out. I ended up hooking up with one of like one of our mutual friends in the group or whatever, and it was whatever. I didn't really think much of it, kind of kept it to myself, except I told one other friend where I was going to be and whatever. So yeah, turns out one of my friends, like apparently has or had like a crush on this guy that I ended up hooking up with. And I kind of feel guilty not telling her, but at the same time, I had gone up there and wanted to spend the weekend. I wanted to kind of just like let go and have fun, but I ended up having to corral the girls group and kind of try and solve their issues that they had been having. So I put myself aside and I kind of like, I did the hookup for myself, like under the radar. But now I'm kind of regretting not telling anybody because I had no idea that she apparently like liked him. And I know that like people were trying to hook them up at some point, but I never heard like it became of anything. So I don't know. I'm just really confused and conflicted. I don't know if I should tell her. I don't know if she'll care or if she even likes him or if she even liked him. I don't want to start drama. I'm really not a drama person. I really want to keep it to myself, but at the same time, it's eating away at my self-conscious, and all I think about is that, and I get really, I
I just feel really guilty for some reason. And so I don't know if I should tell her to get that off my back or if I should just leave it to myself to not cause drama.
I've done this.
Yeah.
I hooked up with my friends. Like, she had a crush on him from like maybe 8th grade or 7th or 6th grade all the way through senior year. I made out with him. I think all we did was make out. Might have done like handsy sort of shit. Because I was in a bikini, which you would assume that you've got easy access to both ends. And we hooked up. I didn't tell her, which is my advice to you. But he told her. One of his friends told her. And it was like, that caught me in a place of being like, I had the same mentality of being like, for me, like, it didn't mean anything. I was so wasted, had recently broken up with my boyfriend. Like, I was making out with fucking anyone and everyone. Like, I never had feelings for him. It wasn't serious at all.
But you knew that she
I
liked
also
him.
knew.
That's what makes it worse.
In the moment. But also at the same time, like, she had a boyfriend at the time. Like, it was one of those things that, like, they had never dated. Like, he wasn't into her. She had this, like, unrequited crush on him. But, like, she had a boyfriend at the time. So, I mean, definitely wasn't kosher.
Yeah.
And I also was not thinking about her at all. It wasn't even like, oh, I shouldn't do this. I just did it. And it was afterwards. I was like, my friend was like, by the way, you hooked up with him. And I was like, oh, shite. She's going to kill me. Not going to tell her.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does. I think, like, because you went into a friend group, it's your friend group, but you went into their college friend group, there is a high likelihood that that's going to get back to her, not from you.
Yeah.
And that's going to be so much worse.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask too, like, are you still talking to this guy, or like, are you guys, or is it just like one time, like, never again, never talk about it again? And does he feel the same way? Because if he's going to be bragging to his friends, and 100% she's going to know.
Yeah. But how do you know that she liked him or had a crush on him? Because if you don't know from her, depends on how much you trust that friend who told you. If you're like, bitch, you never told me that shit, like, wipe that clean and I'm never going to know.
True.
But at the same time, I think if that friend of yours is going to tell you that she had feelings for him, I think she's probably also going to tell her that you hooked up with him.
Oh, yeah.
So I think
that friend likes drama.
Yeah. And it sounds like this whole friend group kind of does like drama. And I think I would say just further advancement. I think big friend groups of girls are really hard in general. But I think just word to the just if you're ever doing this situation and you're going into like a group of your girlfriends, I think it's a great time, like, before you go out, suss out, hey, we're going to be hanging with this group of guys. I'm the new one here. Fill me in. Right. Who likes who's hooked up with who, and who's done that kind of stuff. And my best friend had this crush. This is not the same one. I would have never done that to her. But she liked this guy, and we were in, like, I forget what grade we were in. We were like 15 or 16. 16 we met. Oh, no, I was turning 16. So we were 15. And we were going to our friend's house, and she was like, oh, yeah, like, she's got this whole group of guy friends. Like, everyone, like, you should totally, like, I hadn't had my first kiss yet. And she was like, oh my God, they're so cute. You're really going to like them. It's going to be awesome. Like, there's only one that I like, just, like, not him. And I get there, and he's so cute, the one that she likes. And I was like, oh. And then I was, like, not going to do anything. And he was, like, all about, like, talking to me, like, really doing all that kind of stuff. And then afterwards we got in the car, and I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I really was trying to shut that down. And she was like, oh no, I don't care. Like, I want you guys to go for it. That's totally fine. But, like, when you know that kind of going into it, it creates that buffer to kind of protect yourself from it. And so I think, like, I don't want to say your friend should have told you in this situation. I think it's just less sticky in general when you know, especially because you're going into, I don't know, you're going in with all of these other guys that you don't know, but it is your, like, girlfriend group, and you're getting caught up on the drama. I think it is good to know.
Did she mention how she found out that her friend?
I think she said she only told one friend, so I'm assuming that one friend told her.
So she didn't know that she liked this guy before hooking up with him. I wouldn't feel that guilty because you did nothing wrong. Like, you didn't know. And I guess now that you know, that's why you're feeling the guilt. Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I probably would have just, I don't know, man. Because I kind of want to keep it.
Everyone makes kind of everyone.
Like, everybody kind of liked everyone anyway. Yeah. And so she might have a crush on him now, but she, like, probably has a crush on 10 other guys too.
I think it just depends on how much you trust the friend that told you. Because I think she can spin that, and I think if she likes drama, that can get out of hand really quickly.
Because it could have even just been a passing comment where she's like, oh, he's really cute, and might not even be like an actual crush.
Oh, true.
There's a difference between, like, having a crush on somebody and liking someone. And if she liked him, then I would feel guilty. But like, if it's just a crush that she's done nothing about, you didn't know
nothing
anything.
pisses me off more than that. I'm like, you cannot claim territory on a crush that you've done jack shit about,
and you didn't know about it. Like, it was a crush. It's not like she actually liked him
or they dated. And I think the thing is, you sound like a Cancer, mostly because you said you were taking care of your friend group and you were like the mom. And I was like, that sounds like that. But I think if this is about your like guilty conscience, I think what I would do I mean, this isn't what I would do, but if I were you, the goal would be to minimize your fault in the situation. And I think if you don't tell your friend, that can be, she can hold on to that. And that can be something that you didn't, that like you then found out you had a crush and you didn't say anything. But if you go to her and you're like, hey, I just want to let you know, that night that we all went out, I had like made out or like hooked up with this guy, and I really didn't think anything of it. And like the next morning I was talking to Becky, and I told her, and she brought up in passing that like you had a crush on him. And you're like, I didn't really think anything. Like, I didn't think too much of it. Like, I didn't ask a lot of questions, but it has been making me feel really bad. I wasn't sure if this was like still a present crush or if you guys had done anything. And I just didn't want it to come from anybody else but me. Because then what's she going to do at that point? Is she going to be like, oh, you bitch, you came to me and told me you feel bad? Like, I think
there's no fault in that. When you actually come forward and you admit it, or like whatever, if it comes from you first, there's nothing she could hold against you. At all.
And even if your other friend tells her, but you're not just responding when you get confronted. Like, you're the one bringing forth that and like essentially being like, hey, I did this thing.
That garners more respect.
Yeah. And even if she wants to be mad at you for that, I think that will also help your guilty conscience, because it's like, well, like, what was I supposed to do? I didn't know you liked this guy, not a mind reader. I can't know all of that sort of stuff. And if anything, she might even get mad at the other friend of being like, why would you tell her that I had a crush on this dude? So I think that can kind of push the blame from off of you. But yeah, I just think in general, when you're going out with big groups of girls, just suss out who everyone's into. Wow. Well,
yeah.
Fucking would love to know the update.
True.
Let us know what you decide to do. Is it now time for
Don't Blame Them?
Ooh. So this is when a listener will call in with their own advice from a different episode. If they're like, oh, I've made out with my friend's crush, and we'll hear all about it.
I'm calling about episode 105 with Jessie Smiles. I'm calling about the girl who wanted to sell feet pics. I figured I would have an interesting and unique perspective, given I am a cam girl. I also sell, amateur porn, but it's like better than amateur. And then I do anything that involves selling stuff on the internet where it's a little sexual. So the thing is, her and her boyfriend are fighting about nothing. Unless this girl is already like super established on social media somewhere, the guys who are offering her $500 to $1,500 for feet pics are lying. So essentially, her and her boyfriend are fighting about nothing. However, I do want to kind of get into behind the scenes on why this is happening. So obviously, everyone is aware of the rising popularity in interest in selling feet pics. And, since everyone's aware of that, that means the guys interested in the feet pics are aware of that. And they know that a bunch of girls who have no interest in the actual sex work industry are just interested in making a quick buck, which isn't possible in sex work. I'll be real with you. It's not. You got to work really hard. But they're aware of that. So they know that if they throw out outlandish numbers to these girls, they're going to believe it because that's what they keep hearing from all their friends who know nothing about it. And then these guys might, end up getting free pictures because these girls might be convinced that they need to send free samples, or, they might just be getting off to the conversation, they might ask you what shoe size you wear, whether you like wearing sneakers or ballet flats or heels. And that might just be all they're looking for. And by promising you some large amount of money, they can get a lot of conversation out of you for free. So they are manipulating you. And like I said in the beginning, unless she already has some huge social media following somewhere, like it's just not real. And the huge social media following is important because that's why people like Kelsey or, you know, potentially like Megan or Melissa could make a ton of money doing it because you already have like an enormous following to market to, and there's an enormous amount of value in someone who's not involved in sex work at all selling them, who is already famous outside of sex work. So that's my 2 cents from a sex worker. Thank you so much. Love the show. Bye.
You're amazing.
Wow, I love you so much. I think in a different life I would be a cam girl. I think I would love that. Not now.
You never tried it?
No.
Just kidding.
No, I mean, I don't think it's an outlandish thing. I think if I didn't want, I mean, daily, I wish I didn't want to act because like I hate it and it's terrible and it's like the worst thing ever. It's also the only thing I like enjoy doing. I enjoy this podcast, but doing like, I if I could choose to like be passionate about something, I would definitely not choose acting. And I think I 100% would feel like I would love that. Cause like, I don't know. There's something like, I think it's
empowering.
Like so incredibly empowering and so sexy and so like female driven and controlled. And it's like, I'm doing my own shit. And like, I don't know. I just think like, especially like female doms, I think are so sexy. And that whole thing is just so, I don't know. I think it's incredibly like empowering. So we would love to hear more about like your cam girl and like your sex work life. I think that's like so interesting. Maybe we should. I mean, you're Canadian. You said a boot. Bitch, you're far. But no, I think this makes me want to sell feet pics.
Yeah, but I also respect how she was talking about how much work goes into it.
100%. And I think that's something that it's not from, because we've been talking about this for so long. I watched like a 25-minute video of this girl talking about it, and she was like, it's fucking hard. She's like, I have to, this is like my other part-time job, and it's not just because it's enough money that it's considered a part-time job. She's like, it's because it takes as much time as a part-time job would, and she's just doing feet pics on the side. And so I think like, it does make sense. And we even had someone talking about it. I don't know if this is, someone was also talking about it in the Facebook group, and it was about basically saying like, hey, these numbers that everyone's projecting that you can make are total bullshit. Like most of the time people are making like $25 a pic. And at the end of the day, if you're like working your ass off, you can make great money doing it, but like do the math. If it's $25 a pic, it is a lot more like work and effort than if you're just trying to like,
especially if you're doing it alone.
Yeah, and if you're just trying to make money, if it's not something that like, oh, I want to pursue a career in sex work and all that sort of stuff. Well, is that all we have for this episode? Oh my gosh, amazing. Oh my God, thank you so much for being on. Plug your shit. Where can people find you?
So I am on Big Mood. It's a podcast as well it's 5 girls, and we just shoot the shit. We just talk and pretty much have the listener feel as if we're the girl group that they've never had. And so that's Big Mood. And I'm also on Just Kidding News, where I host this news comedy channel where I present the news, and it's a roundtable discussion where we just make fun of whatever is on the news, or we just discuss it. And I also have my family channel called Tiff and Case with my husband and my 12-year-old son, and we just do a lot of traveling and stuff.
So fun. Yeah. Now I just need a family so I can have a family channel. Yeah. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to be on an upcoming episode, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976.
You got
Why
it.
did I like don't know. Blacked out, and I was like, am I doing it wrong? And if you're an international listener, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to follow us, our socials will all be listed down below, as well as the podcast Don't Blom Meme Pod. If you guys want to listen ad-free, check us out on Stitcher Premium. We also have the video version on YouTube. And if you're watching the video version, you want to go listen on any of your various podcast listening devices. Maybe leave a review. Tell us how like cute we are and how much you would buy my feet pics for. And we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Don't Blame Me is a production by me. Executive produced by Melissa DeMonts. Camera operator Amanda Lechner. And music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all. I'm JJ.
Hey, guys. It's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests who share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to
to not tell this story. But I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, are you ready for some real talk and some fantastic laughs? Join me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa DeMonts, for Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong?
We're serving up 4 hilarious shows every week designed to entertain and engage and, possibly enrage you.
In Don't Blame Me, we dive deep into listeners' questions, offering advice that's funny, relatable, and real.
Whether you're dealing with relationship drama or you just need a friend's perspective, we've got you.
Then switch gears with But Am I Wrong, which is for listeners who didn't take our advice and want to know if they are the villains in the situation.
Plus, we share our hot takes on current events and present situations that we might even be wrong in our lives. Spoiler alert, we are actually quite literally never wrong.
But wait, there's more. Check out See You Next Tuesday, where we reveal the juicy results from our listener polls from But Am I Wrong?
And don't miss Fisting Friday, where we catch up, chat about pop culture, TV, and movies. It's the perfect way to kick off your weekend.
So if you're looking for a podcast that feels like a chat with your besties, listen to Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.